Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So there's been a lot of talk about 2024 for the down ballot races, and it's not always about the presidential election because not only do you need the presidency to get things done and save this country, you also need Congress. You need the House, you need the Senate. You're going to have to be able to improve your margins in both in order to have a sizable majority to fall back on with all the rhinos in the mix, and we know that. So there's been a lot of focus on the recruiting aspect of certain things, and to really pad the potential amount of seats we can get, you're going to have to look for seats in places that usually you are not able to win, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a guarantee that you win these, but there's a shot. And one of those seats is the Virginia Senate seat, because obviously Republicans are going to be focusing on West Virginia, Montana, Ohio. Those are the big three. And then Arizona and Wisconsin are also in the mix because Arizona, you have a three-way race, and Wisconsin, if Donald Trump is that nominee, he's somebody who has that unique point of strength in the Rust Belt areas. And it really does seem as if he's the nominee, he could carry a Senate nominee with him if he wins the state of Wisconsin. However, it's not really talked about a lot. There's some other states where maybe down ballot Republicans could be looking to make gains, and one of those states is the state of Virginia, which again has been gone from Republicans for quite some time. Nobody is winning the state of Virginia in 2024 if they are the Republican nominee. Doesn't even matter if they put Glenn Youngkin on their ticket, they're not going to win the state of Virginia. But still, Republicans have nabbed that top Senate recruit there, and he's somebody who is an overperformer. He has outperformed Donald Trump by more than 10 percentage points. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it while he's on the ballot, but they really have got their guy. This decorated military veteran ran for Congress and lost by a much narrower margin than expected in 2022. Hung Cao, who's actually on the issues for Virginia and for an overperformer, pretty solid overall. He opposes aid to Ukraine, and obviously I wouldn't anticipate that his voting record would be perfect because he is running in a state that is Biden plus 10, but still, you can get somebody who's not a total pushover in a Biden plus 10 state, and even if he loses, he's going to force Democrats to spend a lot of money there on that race, on Tim Kaine, and that money possibly could go to them trying to save like Ohio or Montana, so it opens up Republican opportunities on the map, regardless if he's going to win or lose. So this is a W recruit, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how this race could turn out. But I got to tell you guys really quickly about redeaglepolitics.com. If you guys have not joined up for my exclusive website, make sure you guys do so right now at redeaglepolitics.com. You get access to exclusive videos, 1 to 2 per week that never make it on the channel. On top of that, you get access to the Discord server and my latest posts in the newsletter as well. All of this and more, just 16 cents a day at redeaglepolitics.com. So Hung Cao, running for Senate, a top recruit that you see there. And you talk about the ability for them to kind of shake up the map a little bit, because that's what this does. Can Cao win? I mean, on a very, very good night for Republicans, he has an outside chance, and it really depends how much he's able to overperform the top of the ticket. He did better than Youngkin did in that district, from what I can tell, or at least performed relatively in line with him. He lost by 6 and change in a district that Trump lost by 18 points. So he outperformed him in this district because he's a very solid candidate by 12 points or so. And if he's able to do that statewide, he's probably going to win. Is he going to be able to do it statewide while he's on the same ticket? Probably not. I think Trump could get Virginia within 10. I think he could get it maybe within 7. Depends on how united the party is. Is the state party behind him? Are they competent? They're more competent than they were in years past, for sure. And maybe you could say there's an outside shot because you look at 2022. A lot of Republicans didn't perform super well compared to expectations, but one of the Republicans that outperformed expectations ended up being Hung Cao, who went up against a very well-funded, establishment, entrenched incumbent representative there in Nova, which has moved away from Republicans, and he still posted some very, very solid numbers there. And if he's able to do that statewide, and he's somebody who can kind of unite the party and add voters and probably get some crossover support as well, then guess what? He will possibly make this race within 5. And from there, maybe he will have an outside shot at victory depending on how, poorly Biden performs nationwide. Because if Biden ends up winning Virginia by just 5, then I think that this seat probably does flip, especially because down ballot Republicans in Virginia tend to do a bit better. And you did see that in 2020, even when Donald Trump lost the state by 10, down ballot Republicans lost the state by 5 in terms of the generic House vote. So if you see that split there with Hung Cao, who's running for Senate, it's very possible that he could have an outside shot. And Tim Kaine's not super popular. He's not super unpopular. But I mean, he's somebody who potentially could be beatable if the environment is favorable enough. It's not like he's mathematically guaranteed victory. And if you're going to do that, it's going to have to be with this guy, Hung Cao. Great candidate. Glad he's running overall because, like I said, I think he probably does fall short. But if he loses by like 3, Democrats are going to have to pour a ton of resources into this race that are not going to be poured into places like Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Montana, Ohio, West Virginia, you name it. And they're probably going to pull out of West Virginia anyways, and possibly Montana when we get closer to the election, because Republicans are likely going to end up winning both by quite a bit. And we know that even if Manchin does decide to fully go for re-election there. So in other news, Republicans are also nabbing some other top recruits. Remember the Texas 34th special election last year? That was like the last hurrah of the red wave. A lot of people saw that last May when Mayra Flores ended up flipping that congressional seat there, even though they redrew the map and put her in the district with Vicente Gonzalez, which was a Biden plus 16 district that still moved like 20 points to the right in 2020 and probably will move right again if you have presidential turnout. She ended up losing by 8% or so. Gonzalez, as an incumbent representative, failed to get 53% of the vote there. And a lot of those Tejanos that came out in 2020 did not come out in 2022. So possibly the underlying trends still continued regardless there. Now, I will say this. Mayra Flores has been a letdown to some degree in terms of her support for like worker-based visas and things like that. She's capitulated to the demands of Kevin McCarthy many times on the wrong things, and we know that. And on top of that, she is somebody who doesn't really understand why she got elected overall. And it's mainly because of the fact that she ran a campaign that was solid. She didn't like talk about, oh, we need more immigration, we need more workers. So that's like kind of where the disconnect is in terms of people trying to understand why South Texas is moving right. These people are not moving right because Republicans are cucking or caving on the issue of immigration. In fact, many of these people in South Texas are not immigrants themselves. They've lived there for hundreds upon hundreds of years. In fact, many have lived there before the U.S. actually declared their independence. They've been down there since the 1600s. So this is something people don't understand. Immigration restriction is not poison to the trends in South Texas. In fact, it took Donald Trump to get some of these counties voting Republican for the first time in history, despite him arguably being the toughest president we've had rhetorically and in policy in many regards, on many fronts, in terms of immigration. So that's true. Now, I will say, her running for Congress, again, could potentially flip a seat if she does win, which is good because it possibly could keep the gavel away from the Democrats. And on top of that, if she loses, her political career will essentially be over. And since she's been weak on a few issues, maybe you could get somebody stronger in there next time who's better on the issues that can actually go out and flip that congressional district there. So that's kind of about the underlying factors as well when you look into it. Even if both of these races end up being lost at the end of the day, which they could be, I would probably anticipate the Virginia Senate race to stay in Democrat hands. I think this is kind of like a 50-50 type of thing. Depends on if the Tejano trends continue in South Texas. But there still are important takeaways and silver linings in these, because you would have Democrats wasting resources, spending money on both of these races that could be spent on other races. And on top of that, if you have Mayra Flores go out there and lose, you probably will get somebody better in there next time around, when the trends will likely end up continuing. And in terms of Virginia, Cao may somehow have down ballot effects for the congressional races. Maybe you do actually go out there and have a better shot at flipping the Spanberger seat if he is on the ticket, rather somebody who is very weak and probably would go out there with zero funding, zero credibility, and lose that race by more than 10 points, kind of like what we saw in Virginia in 2020. So those are the takeaways from this, the recruiting roundup for today's video. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot more in the ensuing months about some of these recruits, but very interesting there. Republicans posting a W in Virginia by nabbing the decorated military veteran and chronic overperformer Hung Cao for that U.S. Senate race. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.